Yeah. All right. Welcome to anybody watching this. We are about to play Laser Kittens, which is a game about tiny foster kittens learning to grow up to be awesome cats. So the premise of this game is that we are a litter of kittens that was brought to the local animal shelter after being found on the street or otherwise, without a home. And then a foster family has taken us in so that we can get socialized, grow up a little bit, and get ready to be given all of our shots and everything, and then go on to our eventual forever home when we're adopted permanently by someone. So the home that has taken us into foster is known as the Knoll Street School for Wayward Kittens, because from our point of view as little foster kittens, this is like a school that we're going to learn how to be cats. And so there's going to be at least one adult cat in the house that is our professor. There may be more than one professor cat there. And then there will be some humans in the house. There may be other pets here. And we're going to go on some kitten adventures. And so the frame of mind that you kind of want to be in here is that we are tiny. We are not always totally in control of where our limbs go and all those kinds of things because we are extremely little. And we have basically no experience of the world. So all kinds of things can happen to us and may seem like gigantic adventures. Going down the stairs, a huge adventure. Who knows what could be down there? That's kind of the kitten mindset that we're going to be in. So lots of zany stuff can happen here, especially once we start to use our lasers. So a laser is a special power that every cat has. And if you see a cat's eyes kind of glowing when you look at it, it's using its laser. And so adult cats can just go ahead and use their laser to do whatever power it has. But kittens are not wholly in control of what their lasers do. So sometimes a kitten will use their laser and it will backfire on them. It will cause some sort of, unexpected outcome that is hopefully adorable, but certainly creates a little bit of chaos for us. So let me claim a spot on our character keeper for myself here. So yeah, we've got columns in our character keeper to keep track of who we are. So in terms of safety tools here, there is a tab in the character keeper that says lines and veils. So that is if there are subject areas that you think just really shouldn't be part of our story at all, you can check off the line checkbox there, and there's a bunch of suggested ones, common lines and veils that people have on there. You can add stuff to the bottom of it as needed if there are other things that you want to rule out. So a line means it's just not going to be part of our story at all. Veil means that it's something that can be in the background, or happen off screen, but it's not going to be, something that our story spends much time focusing on. And then ask first means that, you might be okay with it, you might not, but if somebody wants to introduce that element into the story, they should check with everyone. So as we're going through all of our setup, find some time to take a look at that lines and veils list, check off anything that you want to put lines or veils around. This is generally a silly, funny kind of game, so a lot of these things don't usually come up anyway, but it's sometimes good to make that explicit with a line or a veil on certain topics. Second, we have the X card. So if anything comes up that you don't want to be part of our story, makes you uncomfortable for any reason, you can just say X card or make an X on the screen. We'll edit that out, pick something new and go in a different direction with things. And then the last thing is we do have the open table policy. So if at any point you feel like you need to step away for whatever reason, that's totally cool. Let us know if you can, if you're gonna step away permanently, but there's no obligation to stick around if the game's not fun for you anymore. Okay, so with that, let me talk about how we're going to create our characters and our world. So we've got the general premise that we're at the Knoll Street School for Wayward Kittens, which is a house where some people live. They've taken in some foster kittens. It is, of course, located on Knoll Street, which used to be my address, hence the name here. So we're going to define some things about our world. We're also going to define some things about our individual characters. And the way that we're going to do that is with the cards that you have in your hand on, I appreciate the Pusheen there, the cards that, and I see Christina's got her Pusheen there as well. Got a multi-Pusheen game here. Is with the cards that you've got in your hand. So you've got 5 cards to start. And so in this game, what matters is the color and the number. So we're not worried about specific suits, just is it red or black? And what's the number? Aces count as 1s. And for this game, we've got two decks minus all of the face cards. So you'll see ace through 10 of the 4 suits twice is what makes up our deck. So then if you go to the setup tab, you'll see a list there. And we'll start with the lasers. So you're going to pick a laser for yourself. And so you'll see each laser has a name that rhymes with pew, pew, pew. And it has a little description of the kinds of things that laser can do. And in this game, this is super freeform. You get to basically make up what your laser is going to do when you use it based on the cards that you draw. So they can do fairly minor things. They can do enormous world-changing things, just as long as it relates somehow to the theme or name of your laser. So you'll see next to each one is a color and a number. So you're going to pick a laser that corresponds to one of the cards that you have in your hand. And then you should be able to, on the character keeper, the little drop down next to where it says laser, if you pick that, the card off that list, it should autofill the description of the laser in there if I set this all up right. Okay, yeah, Marley has done it and it seems to work there. So why don't we all do that? So pick one of those lasers that corresponds with one of the cards that you've currently got in your hand. And then once you do that, you can play that card onto the table and then left click and delete it. So that's basically discarding that card. And we should also each have a different laser. And okay, so these lookup things are not actually working. I see the descriptions that are coming in are wrong. Let me try to fix that. Let's see, she comes A and B. Yeah, because we're getting all kinds of there we go. Okay. When I copied the controls over, it tried to be too smart and connected it to the wrong. There we go. Okay, so now I got to pick mine. Okay, that sounds good. Okay. There we go. Okay. Oh, okay. Let me pick a different one then. I see Marley and I have the same laser there.
I also deleted my card while I had the wrong descriptions up, so I'm going to just make a note that I have that card back.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, we'll refill everybody's hands at the end, so
Okay.
it's not a huge thing. Okay. So I am switching over my. Okay, so now everybody's got a. Now everybody's got one. So let me then. So I'm gonna fill everyone's.
How do we play our hand again?
So you drag the card onto the surface area, and then you left click on it or right click on it and hit delete to discard it.
I see. The right click options are take card and flip card for me.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm going to need to do that as the host here.
So if you click on it, just a regular click, I saw that there was like a line with a box, a little square at the top. If I click the square and then hit the delete key on my keyboard, that seems to
okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep, okay, that did it.
Okay, cool. All right, so everybody has done that?
I have.
Okay. So then the next step, so you can now start thinking a little bit about your character, like what kind of kitten would you be that would have that laser? The laser usually, kind of expresses your personality in some way. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to figure out who the other characters are who are at the Knoll Street School for Wayward Kittens. So we're going to start with, so we're going to create some NPCs. So you'll see kind of below where our characters are, there's two columns, there's professors and others. We're each going to pick one NPC that can be either a professor or something else. But there are two separate columns there on the setup. So we've got an entire range of professors, one for every different card, an entire range of others. You'll see some of them are dogs and rabbits, and some of them are humans. And we want to collectively among the four of us have at least one professor and at least one human. And then the other two, we can have additional professors, additional humans, other animals, etc. So you're going to pick that the same way you picked your laser. You're going to choose one of those NPCs that corresponds with a card in your hand, discard that card, and then you can use the little drop downs by where the NPC lists are to list those NPCs. And so those are characters that we know are part of our world here. Olivia, are you there? You look frozen. Okay, you are. Okay. You were very still, and I was worried you might be frozen. So, learning some things that I need to fix on the character keeper here. Okay, so we've got at least one professor and one human. So let's see. I will add another professor. Okay. So we need one more NPC, which can be anything, whoever didn't select one yet.
Oh, were we only supposed to do one for the 2 columns? I thought we were doing one in each column.
No, you're doing one NPC total.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. All right. So we got 2 humans and 2 professors, it looks like. Cool. And then next, we're each going to pick a situation. So this is something that's going on at the Knoll Street School for Wayward Kittens. That's kind of like a plot hook, a thing that we can try to deal with in the course of our adventure. And
So I accidentally selected one in each column, which means I think someone else didn't get a chance to pick an NPC.
Oh. Okay, so you pick stuff, I pick stuff. Christina, did you pick an NPC? Oh, she has.
Whoops.
Oops.
Sorry.
Okay. Christina,
I picked an NPC. I picked the human Carol.
Okay. So then Olivia, sounds like.
Yeah, I did the professor with the longer name.
Brigadier Fuzzykins?
Oh. I did that one too, so I'll put it back. Okay.
Okay, that was the issue, is that we've got 2 people trying to pick the same one.
I was going to pick Brigadier too.
Brigadier. So all of these professors are based on real cats, either of our Kickstarter backers or that we had, and Brigadier Fuzzykins was a real character. So, okay, so we got that straightened out. So now we each are going to pick one situation, same way, and I'll deal to refill everyone's hands there. Okay, so we got 4 good situations here. The humans have left a pile of clean, warm clothes fresh out of the dryer. Strange visitors have come to the house. The door at the end of the hall has never been opened by any kitty. And it's kitten bath time. And I should say for the stream, since I realize anybody watching this can't see the character keeper here. So the professors that we chose were Professor Brigadier Fuzzykins. And the description, nobody's quite sure what's going on under all that fluff. And Professor Annie, who is the ghost of a former Knoll Street School for Wayward Kittens resident who still appears to the kittens. Then our human NPCs are Maisha, a visitor who is oh so very allergic to cats, and Carol, she will not put down that black thing that flashes very brightly. Okay, so the last thing that we have to pick out with this card matching kind of system is our classes. So this is a school. We are learning some stuff. So our professors are leading us through some classes. So we are each going to pick one of the classes from that final column on the setup tab. And when you do that, you will see, and when you enter that class down at the bottom there, you'll see that pop up in the classes section of your your character block there, because we're all taking the same 5 classes together. So there's 4 players, so we'll draw a random card at the end to pick our 5th class. And you're going to have grades in those classes that are going to affect what you're doing during the game. So let's start by just picking the classes that we're taking. Oh, and let me deal everybody another card to refill your hand.
Could you remind me how to discard a card I've put out?
So you drag it onto the tabletop area, and then I think you should be able to just click on it and hit delete, and it will get discarded.
Okay.
How many classes do we pick?
Just 1 each.
Just 1. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we got literature, geography, music, computer science, and let me just get a random one. Red 9 is film studies, will be our final class. Okay, so you're going to assign yourself grades in these classes. You are going to have 2 classes where you have an A, 2 classes where you have a B, and 1 class where you have a C. And you assign those as you like. And during the game, you will get a bonus if you do something that is related in some way to a class that you have an A in. You will get a penalty if you're trying to do something that's related in some way to a class that you have a C in. The ones you have B's in don't affect things one way or the other. And when I say related to, you can be as creative as you like in relating things to your classes. So as an example, if you're trying to jump up onto the table, if you have had an A in, there's a class that's geometry that I usually use the example here, right? You can say, well, with my geometry knowledge, I can figure out the right angle to jump at and how to land and so forth, and that gives me an advantage. And that's great. I had another class where film studies was one of our classes, and somebody said, well, I'm good at jumping up on the table because of my A in film studies, because in our film studies class, we've just been watching Kung Fu movies. And so knowing about all the, jumping around and stuff that's going on in those movies is going to help me. So go ahead and be as creative as you like in trying to connect things to your classes. So let's see. Go with an A in literature. Okay, so everybody's got their grades. All right, so everybody should then take a minute to come up with your character's name and pronouns, and just a little bit about what kind of a kitten they are. Okay, so while folks are finishing that up, let me explain the mechanics of the game. So you each are going to have 5 cards in your hand. Oops, I'm trying to give everybody an extra card to fill back. All right, so you're going to have 5 cards in your hand. You should always have 5 cards in your hand. If you ever do not have 5 cards in your hand, we'll just let me know and I'll deal out cards to fill you back up there. So the start of each scene, we have to pick our class captain. So the class captain is kind of a temporary GM-ish role. So we don't have a permanent GM, but we have a class captain who kind of sets the framework for the scene. And so the way that we do that is we go around and everybody has a chance to tell us what you think the next scene should be about. So if you think the next scene should be about trying to get into the basement, you just say, I'd like to be class captain and play a scene of trying to get into the basement. And then somebody else may have another idea. They may say, well, I think in the next scene, we should try to track down where the dog went. Right? And so go around, everybody has a chance. If you don't have a good idea or don't want to be class captain, that's cool. You don't have to do it. But anybody that wants to put in a bid, and so when you put in an idea for class captain, you will put one of your cards from your hand face down onto the table surface there. And once everybody has put out their bid, we flip them over to see who has the highest bid. So cards in this game, black cards are positive values, red cards are negative values. So any black card will always be any red card. Black 10 is the best card you can have. Red 10 is the worst card that you can have. So you make your bid to be class captain. Then whoever wins that bidding will kind of set the scene for us and give us kind of the premise of what's going on. Then anyone else who wants their character to be in the scene will join the scene. And then we'll kind of collaboratively play out how the scene goes. And as things are going along, if you're going to try to do something where the outcome is uncertain, where it's not obvious that you'll be able to do it, but it's also not obvious that you're not going to be able to do it, then you're going to make a bid to be able to do it. And so you bid the same way. So with the roll 20, you just drag one of the cards from your hand out and set it face down. And then if you are in conflict with another player character, all right, like you're trying to steal the hair tie that someone else is playing with, then that player would bid against you. If it's a kind of a conflict with the world around you or with an NPC or something, right? So like jumping up on the table, it's kind of a conflict with the external world. Then the class captain will bid against you. So you both bid, flip over the card. Whoever has the higher number there gets to describe the outcome. And generally, if you win the bid, you get to describe yourself doing something cool and succeeding. If you lose the bid, then the person that won against you will describe things not going your way. And this is where the grades come into it. So if what you're trying to do relates in some way to a class you have an A in, you get to draw 2 extra cards from the deck to choose from. And if you are doing something related to a class you have a C in, then you can't use, and there's not really a good way to randomize your hand within Roll20, so I'll just say the bottom 2 cards, right? When you pop up your thing, you've got kind of a row of 3 and then a row of 2 when you have 5 in your hand. So you can't use either of the bottom 2 cards, whichever ones are down there. So it makes it a little harder for you to win that bid. So that's the basic, kind of function there. The other major mechanic is your laser. So each of us will have a laser. And so your laser consists of 5 cards. Let me get some cards out here. So you're going to have a stack of 5 cards, and I will try to put them in a convenient way here and try to talk while I'm dealing these out here. These 5 cards, which begin face down, are your laser. So this represents the effects of your laser power when you go to use it. So there could be good cards in here, there could be bad cards in here, you don't know right now. Every time that your character joins a scene, and so you say, I'm going to be part of the scene that we're playing, you're going to flip over one of your laser cards. So you're going to get a little more information about what's in your laser there. If at any point during the scene you would like to use your laser power, you just say so. Then you flip over all of the remaining face down laser cards that you've got. You add them all up. If the total that you get from all of your laser cards is 0 or positive, that means your laser did something good, and you get to describe what it does. And this is kind of a wacky supernatural power, so all kinds of stuff can happen with your laser. If your laser adds up to a negative number, then the class captain will describe your laser backfiring on you. So as an example, in one game, the kittens were running away from some nasty rats, and somebody had the laser 222, which doubles things, and their intention when they went to use it was they were going to double the distance between them and the rats chasing them, but they got a negative result, so the class captain said, okay, what you actually did was double the number of rats chasing you. So it backfired and did something that complicated everything. You can also kind of scale the effect to the total you get. So if you get something that's a fairly low number, whether positive or negative, it might be a relatively small scale kind of effect. If you get a really high number, positively or negatively, then just kind of go wild with it. So my favorite example there is in a game, there was a human that the kittens didn't like, and he was coming up to the room where the kittens were and was going to do something to them. And there's a laser called shoo, shoo, shoo that makes things go away. And a player used it, and they said that their thought was, well, they're going to make this guy remember he left the oven on or something, and he's going to go away. But they got a positive. It was I think it was in the 30s. The highest possible number you can get is 39 if you get all 4 tens of a color and 1 9. So they got something in the 30s, and this person said, all right, so that's huge. So I don't just make this guy walk away. I erase him from history so that he never existed. So you can go all out, especially if you get a really big number on your laser. So you can choose to use your laser at any time in a scene that you're in. If you're entering your 4th scene, so you've got 4 cards flipped over and just 1 face down, sometime during that scene, you have to use your laser. Even if it wouldn't do any good, it's just you're a little bundle of kitten energy and you can't hold on to it anymore, and you got to use your laser for something. And it might just go off at an inopportune kind of time. So once you've used your laser in a scene, that's it for your laser power for that scene. You don't get to use it again. When the scene ends, we'll discard all those cards and give you a new fresh set of 5 face down laser cards. So as you enter scenes, you'll learn a little bit more about whether your laser's got good cards or bad cards in it. And at the end of each scene, the class captain will draw, there's 4 of us here, so the class captain will draw 4 cards and flip them over, and will be able to award those cards to anyone that they thought was acting in a way that showed that they were growing up and becoming mature and learning things at the Knoll Street School for Wayward Kittens. You can give a player a good card if you have a positive judgment of them. If you feel like they were acting immaturely or not learning any good lessons at the Knoll Street School for Wayward Kittens, you can make them take a bad card. And you've got the whatever 4 cards you draw, that's what you got to work with. You might be like, all right, you all did good, but I've only got 1 good card to hand out, so I'm going to give it to so-and-so who did the best, and the others I'll just not, you don't have to hand a card to somebody. So you could be like, you did pretty good, but I've only got really bad cards here, so I'm just not going to, give you anything. Right? Or you could be like, you did really bad, and I'm going to make you take this bad card. When you're given a card like that, you swap it with one of the existing cards in your laser. So if you get a good card, you could swap it for one that you know is bad, and thereby improve what your laser is going to do when you finally use it. If you get a bad card, then you're stuck with something that's going to make your laser worse when it finally does its thing. All right, so I think that's the basic structure of it, and so we just play out a bunch of scenes until we feel like our adventure is done. So why don't we? It's a quarter till the hour here. So why don't we go around, introduce our characters, and then take a 5-minute break, and then come back and start playing? Does that sound good? All right. So I'll begin since I'm first on the character keeper here. So my name is Stentor, and I will be playing Cheeseball with a Z. Pronouns he, him, and Cheeseball is the dirtiest orange tabby you ever did meet. So he's bright orange like his namesake, but he cannot seem to keep himself clean, always getting into something gross and needing a bath or to be wiped down or something like that. And appropriately, his laser is Lulu, which grants control over the litter box. And he's got A's in literature and computer science and a C in geography. So next on the character keeper is Olivia. So introduce us to your kitten.
My kitten's name is Midnight, pronouns she, her. Midnight is a very curious black kitten who likes to sit on warm keyboards and explore, but not great at physical feats. And I've got A's in geography and computer science and a C in music.
All right. And next, Christina.
So I'll be playing Gilly Toes, but she can also go by Gilly. Her pronouns are she, her, and she's just really dumb, real clueless. She's a brown and white kind of marbled tabby, and she's really chunky, really, really, really chunky. And I have A's in music and computer science and a C in geography.
All right, and Marley.
So I will be playing Fern. She is a Siamese cat. She's actually quite outgoing and she likes to travel. Excellent sense of direction, always knows where she is, which led to an A in geography. Also an A in film studies, and her bad course is computer science. And her laser is zoo, 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 such that non-felines of the world appear at the windows on TV or in your home. And I'm very excited to see that backfire.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So why don't we come back? I've got 44 on my clock. So let's come back at whatever it is in your time zone, 50. Does that sound good?
Okay.
All right. See you all in just a little bit. So we are all here, so we can jump into playing. So as I said, the first step is to decide who's going to be class captain. So I'm going to start by making a bid for class captain. And so, when you're making this bid, it can be any sort of scene that you think would be cool to explore next. We've got those situations and NPCs there for inspiration. If one of those strikes your fancy as something that we should do something about or would be cool to investigate. And so to kind of demonstrate that, my proposal for the first scene is that Professor Brigadier Fuzzykins is going to give us a lesson on laying on the clean laundry. So does anyone else want to propose a scene that you would be class captain for?
Sure. I think Fern has decided today is the day that they are getting into the door at the end of the hallway that no kitty has ever opened.
Okay. So put one card from your hands down on the table. It should come out face down. It's a secret bid until all bids are in. And Christina and Olivia, did either of you want to bid on being class captain, or are you happy with the ideas that are out there?
I like both of those ideas.
All right.
So I like those ideas, and in general, I don't want to be class captain. So.
Okay. Yeah, you never have to be class captain. I should say that class captain should change every scene. So whoever wins this one, class captain for this scene, will sit out from being class captain next scene.
Right.
But nobody ever has to be class captain if you don't want
Perfect. It's not going to be me. So.
Okay. All right. Well, let's flip our cards and see who won. So I had a black 6, and you had a black ace. So looks like the 6 is higher, so I will be our first class captain. And I will deal us some cards to refresh our hands there. All right. Yes.
So when you're comparing the cards for class captain, is it like it's just like regular numbers, which is higher, or does it take into account color?
Yeah, so red cards are negative numbers. So we both had black cards, so the ace counts as a 1 and the 6 counts as a 6. So 6 is higher than 1, but if those were red cards, then the ace would have won because -1 is a higher number than -6.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Yeah.
I was also curious about these 4 columns of cards. Which column goes with which player?
So it should be. So
Should we put text label on
order,
them or something?
Yeah, let's do that just in case somebody accidentally drops and rejoins the thing here. So I'll put our character names here. So let me. Okay. I'm not used to. I don't do a lot of Roll20, so it's taking me a second to. Do this. Okay. And actually, let me put them here in character keeper order, even though that's different from how you're showing up on the Roll20 thing. Just so that everything's in the same order. Okay, so your laser is going to be the one that is under your name. Okay. There we go. All right. So the premise of the scene is that there's a room that the kittens usually stay in that's got like their stuff in it, and Brigadier Fuzzykins has come in to talk to us, and Brigadier Fuzzykins is a giant pile of floof. And he says to us, "Your lesson for today, little kittens, relates to the laundry. Who is brave enough to enter the laundry room? So if you would like your character to be part of this scene, you can flip over one of the cards in your laser. So like I just flipped one. I've got a black 10, so that's looking real good for me. Oh, Fern's got a red 10, so that's not looking so hot for your laser. Okay, so everybody's going to be in this scene. And, you know, in general, it's always up to you whether you want your character to be in a scene, especially if you're class captain, because sometimes it's tough to kind of manage like playing your character and being class captain and kind of directing the scene. So, you know, it's totally fine to have your character kind of, you know, sit it out or whatever in any case. And of course, sometimes we might get separated and then it only makes sense for certain characters to be in a scene. Of course, but then like if you're not in a scene and you want to join halfway through, you know, you want to come bursting into the room or whatever, that's cool. Just flip a card and do it. All right, so so Brigadier Fuzzykins has told us that we are going to go on an adventure to the laundry, and he says the humans have a very strange compulsion. Every week they are driven to put all of their clothes in this big metal box, and it makes a whole lot of noise that's extremely frightening for any kitty less brave than me. And when it comes out, the clothing has tragically had all of the cat fur removed from it. So it is our job as cats to put the cat fur back on all of the clothing when it comes out of the laundry. It's a very important duty that the humans expect us to do. So I will go on ahead to scout out the laundry room, and you will need to join me there for our lesson. And he walks out of the room. He's gotten the door open just a little bit so that he can come and go. And so he leaves to go to the laundry room. And I think Cheeseball looks around and says, "Clothes get clean?" And kind of looks down at himself, and he's like covered in like fuzz from under the bed.
Yes, maybe we should put you in it.
Oh, maybe I could get those clothes so dirty again. Oh, man.
No, maybe then you would finally one day be clean.
Oh, no, how tragic.
Hang on.
Cheeseball
my StreamYard just had a hiccup, so I missed. Hang on a second here. StreamYard is slightly dropping for me. All
right, let's do it. Okay, so I think first things first, we're going to need
Well, that's not promising at all.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And I'm the one who got the red 10.
Maybe this is some in real life cat hijinks going on.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, the StreamYard started cutting out for me, and all of you started getting robot voices and disappearing and stuff. But okay, so I think we're good. It still looks like we're recording the same on the same thing. So all right, so why don't we, just because I have no idea how much of that you've said got recorded and I didn't hear any of it. Oh geez, now it's looks like it's doing it again.
Oh no.
No. Should we turn off our video?
Got most of you back. Now it's going again. Okay. Let me, sorry about that. Let me see if there's any settings that I can do to this.
All right, fantastic.
Reduce my camera resolution, see if that helps. Okay. Cross my fingers, it seems stable for the last little bit there. So, okay. So I think the last thing that I heard was the idea that, geez, now people are going again. All right.
I can also hear someone talking in the background. I don't know if someone's.
That might be. Sorry, it was my spouse. He's running a D&D campaign, and the other.
Okay, it sounded thematically appropriate, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, they're taking over Mythical Tavern.
Okay. Do we want to try maybe switching over to Zoom as an alternate? Because StreamYard keeps hiccuping here.
I'm okay with that.
I trust it.
I actually have been getting a really stable connection, but if yours isn't, then yeah, try something else.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, so I'm going to end the StreamYard, and I'll email you all a Zoom link, and we'll continue from there.